Call the April 2025 St. John Park and Recreation Board meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mike Moffett.
Here.
Pat Connolly. Stephanie Kriesbaum.
Here.
Mary Robert.
Here.
Eric Veliska. Here.
Approval of minutes. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes as posted from the March 18th, 2025 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion from Stephanie Kriesbaum. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, go ahead.
We have a second by Mary Roberts. All in favor of approving the motion signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with a nay, and it's carried. Old business, Gates Park update. Dave?
The Phase 2, which is the pickleball courts, the shade structures, benches, platforms, all the extra work is completed. Just waiting on Gary up to give us a final invoice, and we'll do a punch list and get that one closed out. Just so you're aware, the Phase 1, the path extension, that's still open with site services. We have a punch list that they need to address. And then Phase 3, which is the lighting, still waiting for NIPSCO, but hopefully those will get on sooner rather than later. You haven't heard anything, have you, Gabe?
Yes, I was told that it should be within this week or next week that NIPSCO's going to come out and give power to that area.
And then I don't have anything else with Gates Park. Do you have an update on the community center?
I think we're shooting for late July. As of right now, if everything goes well, for that to be up and rolling. I know there is interest in people renting it, so people are reaching out. I do encourage people to reach out if you have any graduations and all that and get that booked up now because they are booking up quick. I think when it does open up, it's going to be good for us. It's going to be good for the town. I mean, I'm excited for it.
Me too, Gabe.
Gabe, I know that I had a couple questions from some people, and I knew I was coming here today. When, as far as where do they go to sign up, and then B, what are the different options as far as, is there catering, is there bartenders, or what is involved, or what does it include?
So I believe it's going to be on rec desks. Sam, is that correct?
Yeah.
And then I believe as far as we're working on it right now with the real fine details, I believe we're going to try to bring someone in to help coordinate that as far as with options for like catering and all that. Like one person that's actually going to be doing that, like helping people reach out with their needs or whatever they're trying to do. I don't have all the details yet, so
Yeah,
there will be. There will be like a small kitchen in there. There will be like appliances, and so I don't think that we're going to be selling food there, or we're not going to be giving food,
Right.
but we're going to try to partner up with other catering services.
Okay.
Anything else from the Gates?
Nothing for me.
Anybody else with any old business? Any other old business? New business. Letter A, entertain a motion to approve the approval of the 2025 independent contractor agreements for Maddie Denclaw, Jillian Sandoval, Anna Kulig, Haley Wise, Brianna Rodriguez for the summer camp counselors.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? We have a motion by Stephanie Kriesbaum. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Eric Veliska. All in favor of the motion signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with an A, and it's carried 4-0. B, entertain a motion for the approval of the 2025 independent contractor agreements for Maddie Denclaw, Danica Bryant, Elena Gramala for sand volleyball referees.
I'll make a motion to approve the independent contract for the sand volleyball referees.
We have a motion on the floor by Eric Veliska. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Mary Roberts. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with a nay, and it's carried. Letter C, entertain a motion for the approval of a 2025 independent contractor agreements for Aubrey Ducret for tennis camp lessons.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Eric Veliska. All in favor, signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with a nay, and it's carried. Mary Roberts made that motion. I don't know if I said that, but just for the record. Letter D, entertain a motion for the approval of a 2025 independent contractor agreement for Thomas Zagal for intro to crochet and knitting classes.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Stephanie Kriesbaum. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Mary Roberts. All in favor, signify with an aye.
Aye.
All opposed with an A, and it's carried 4-0. Letter E, entertain a motion for the approval of the 2025 independent contractor agreements for Frank Rivoli and Daniel Cole Daly to perform at the 2025 Farmers Market.
I'll make a motion to approve the performers for the 2025 Farmers Market.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second by Eric Veliska? Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Mary Roberts. All in favor, signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with an A, and it's carried 4-0. Entertain a motion for the approval of a 2025 independent contractor agreement for Jesse Hernandez for the Region Basketball Club programs.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Stephanie Kriesbaum. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Eric Veliska. All in favor, signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with an A, and it's carried 4-0. Letter G, entertain the motion for the approval of the agreement with Lake and Pond Biologist for pond maintenance and the amount of $9,240 for algae and aquatic vegetation control for 5 ponds, and $1,100 for fountain winterization for 4 ponds, for a total of $10,340. You know a little bit about this, Gabe? You know a little bit about the, is this the same company that usually does this for us?
Yes.
That comes out with that boat and everything?
Yes, this would be their second year full-time with us. The old vendor, he kind of retired out of it, so this is who we go with. This is normal. This is, every year we do the same thing.
All right.
Gabe, how do we determine what ponds are going to be done?
I've just been doing the same old since I've been here, I guess.
Okay.
It was the ones before I got here, so I'm just gonna keep doing them.
Are we missing something?
We own them, actually.
No,
So-
I
yeah,
just
so we-
wondered, because I know the one in my subdivision isn't done, so I just wonder how other subdivisions.
I can
get
touch
in.
in on that, so we don't own that pond.
Okay,
I believe it was
so we own all the
years
ponds.
ago. I think, Mike, you were here for that, when they came in wanting us to look at their pond, and we didn't own it, and it went here, and it went up to the council, and we went back and forth. I think the end result was, I think this pond, these people actually came recommended by that HOA, or that disbanded HOA, and I believe that pond was too shallow to treat, that like it needs to be dredged.
I just wondered how,
But, yeah, so we have to own the pond?
okay, so the
for us to
ponds
treat
that
it.
we're working on, we do own?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
And I know, in here, the ones that, the 5 that they're treating are Prairie West Park, Lewis Estates Park.
Yeah, the Lewis Estates,
Home.
I wasn't sure on that one.
Yeah, so that one's in here. Homestead Acres Park, Lindsay Park, and the Public Works.
Right.
Any other discussion on that?
Nope.
Somebody like to make the motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have, by Stephanie Kriesbaum, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Eric Veliska. All in favor signify with an aye. Aye. Opposed with an A. And it's carried, 4-0. Letter H, consider request to purchase. Letter A, entertain a motion to approve the Lake Hills Pathway repairs from Sutton Asphalt LLC in the amount of $24,750.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Mary Roberts. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second by Stephanie. Do we have any discussion on that, or everybody knows what that is?
It was something that was gonna happen
Yes,
Or need to be done.
previous, yeah.
yes. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with an A. And it's carried 4-0. For for new business, the Babe Ruth lights, Gabe, I don't know if you could.
Yeah, so we have one initial estimate in, which is Sourcewell, which means you don't have to go for multiple estimates. That came in as a price of anywhere from $225 to $250 for that one field. And our budget just isn't going to allot for that much money, just for one field, or for any field. I think when we initially thought, by just doing the heads, we're hoping somewhere for like 185 to get multiple fields done, was the target goal. I know we have Scott Clifford here from baseball. He's aware of this too. He's been on the same thread as me. Scott, you want to join us?
Sure. Would you like to know?
Open dialogue, I guess.
There were some grants and stuff that were, is
Yeah.
this included with that?
So I can speak to that a little bit. So Scott Clifford, president of St. John Baseball. Obviously, we've been working together on the light package. From a baseball standpoint, there are 3 fields that I'm primarily concerned with. That's Babe Ruth over at Heartland, and then the 2 civic fields. I don't know which direction I'm facing, but here on this property, whichever way it is. I went back and watched the minutes or the video from the park board meeting. I think it was September when this was discussed. And I believe at that time, we fixed a ballast or we fixed a light pole that was at Babe Ruth. Can you confirm, is that back up to snuff
Yeah,
now?
so
It's
all the lights are on.
Okay.
So it wasn't just that pole, we fixed other lights there too, but.
Okay. I knew that was-
Majority of the problems were on that
That was a
pole.
pain point, okay. The ones at Civic, obviously, those are exceptionally old. Because we have reaffiliated our in-house league with Babe Ruth Inc. So for those of you who are not familiar, Babe Ruth League also runs it's called the Cal Ripken Division. Whoever at Little League Incorporated got that contract with ESPN a few years ago, they have done themselves a tremendous favor because Little League has become synonymous with youth baseball. We are in a rival league in the sense that Babe Ruth is similar to Little League, but it's the governing body. Because we are now members of that governing body, we are eligible to apply for a $60,000 grant to help offset any kind of light project. We can request it on behalf of a municipality in the event that we do not own the fields, which is the case here. I've spoken with the folks at Babe Ruth League. I've also spoken with folks at Musco, the folks who are responsible for awarding those grants. If and when we are ready to pull the trigger on that, we are sitting in a very good position to win that grant. Of course, nothing is guaranteed, but I think we've positioned ourselves well to be considered for that. There is a caveat. September is when the applications are due, then the awards will be made in November. Like many grants, whether they be from maybe the federal agency or even if it's private, if you apply for the grant and you back out after you're awarded, you're never going to get their attention ever again. So the question has been raised, or that I've been talking with Gabe, is if we are going to do this, please let me know and I will pull the trigger and I will make sure that I'll do everything in my power to kiss babies and shake hands and do whatever I need to do to make sure that we are awarded that $60,000 grant to offset this cost. But I obviously need the green light to do that. If we bank this for a future year, I'm happy to revisit that in future years, but I just need a little guidance there. So yeah, Mike, we absolutely have at our disposal $60,000 potentially from Babe Ruth League. There are additional grants for LED projects through NIPSCO, green energy grants, things like that can also help offset this. So yeah, I'm obviously very interested. I'm acutely interested in what's going on with Babe Ruth. If I'm being honest, I'm more interested in what's going on with Civic right now, just because those lights are exceptionally old. Some of them are beyond repair. And there was a time last year, I think, when I sounded this alarm, it was in the fall. It's starting to get darker a little earlier, so we're using the lights a little bit more in the fall. We'd fire up the lights at Civic, and there would be, a quarter to maybe a third of the lights out at each of the fields. So we wanted to make sure that there were no black spots or blind spots, that there was coverage, that no one was going to be playing in any kind of danger or anything like that. And it also is an eyesore. We don't necessarily want to do this for cosmetic reasons, but people look at that and they look up and say, oh, why aren't they fixing this? So I want to make sure we take a little bit of pride and ownership in our facilities. So I'm here to help you guys in any way that I can. I'd love to see this come to fruition. I understand the political and economic realities of the situation as well, but I would like to offer myself to continue helping in this process in any way that I can. So hopefully, Gabe, that illustrates what you were looking for. But
Yes, sir.
any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer on that particular topic.
So you stated for this grant, when the time comes for all of this,
Yes.
it's due by September.
Yes, ma'am.
So we obviously would have to know prior to that. And then we had talked, and we were talking about the different lights and all that. So my question is these lights are so very expensive as of right now. So it's only gonna get more. Do you understand where I'm going?
Absolutely.
Yeah, if we're gonna pull the trigger, we should pull the trigger on it.
But the budget doesn't allow for it because it's only one field. So in reality, we would like to change them all out so they're the LED like you were explaining to me and all that stuff. And I agree with that. 30-year warranty, all this other stuff, you know? But how do we make it possible is, I guess, what the question is. Being that it's so expensive right now for one field.
Well, I think Gabe, correct me if I'm wrong here. I think Babe Ruth is would be the most expensive field, correct?
We're still waiting on quotes from these other fields. We haven't gotten back. We just
I mean,
received
just
that.
based on, I'm trying to picture.
I'm guessing with the amount of heads, yes. But we haven't gotten back the other quotes yet.
If I may, I've spoken with Brent Castle, who is the representative that's been working with Gabe and myself from Musco. He ballparked some figures for me at Civic when I pressed him a few weeks ago. Yes, Babe Ruth will be the most expensive, but it'll still be hefty over at Civic as well, from my understanding. Just because over there, we're talking about a potential light pole replacement, meaning we're going to take the sticks down and put new ones up because of the age of those. I mean, it's a full overhaul over there. At Babe Ruth, we'd be able to potentially reuse the 80-foot poles that we currently have. Now, also, we've talked a lot about LEDs.
I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you're talking about replacing, I thought with the Musco lights that we had to replace all of it in order to get that warranty with those lights.
That's a great question. So when I spoke with Brent 2 weeks ago about that, he indicated that he would be willing to speak with his management team to potentially get an exemption for that.
Okay.
You're correct. The automatic 25-year warranty comes when you buy the whole kit and caboodle with them. Of course, that's an incentive that they put out there. But if we were to replace the ballast, we were to replace everything up top, there is a warranty that can be affected as well. We just have to kind of work for that. One thing I was going to say with the LEDs, now the LEDs certainly allow us more opportunities for grants with green initiatives and things like that. The bulbs last longer. Another benefit to overhauling the system, forget about LEDs for a moment. A few years ago at what I call the Cloverleaf, Heartland Fields 1 through 4, the baseball back 40, those lights were replaced. Those are still currently under warranty. I can tell you that it is exceptionally easy, and it's a very nice thing to have with those being under warranty. We fired up the lights for the first time a few weeks ago. We're getting everything ready for this season. As soon as I fired the lights up, you can do it from an app. Error codes were thrown to me, said these fuses are burned out. You are currently under contract for these kinds of repairs, but this is on you. We have an electrician who's on our board. He went out, took care of the fuses. Last year, there were bulbs and there were ballasts that were burned out or that were not operating. A ticket was opened right away. They email was sent to me, said, this is part of your agreement. I had to do very little. They had somebody out there within a week, and it was fixed, and it was all under warranty. So neither the town nor baseball incurred any cost. So there is a cost benefit of replacing them. Obviously, if we talk LEDs, they're going to last longer. You get more green incentive. So again, all things to weigh. And you're exactly right. It's, do we do it now? Do we pull the trigger? What's going to happen in the fall, next spring, if something else happens? Is it going to be another $10,000 stopgap fix? Those are political questions for you guys to deliberate on and decide. But again, happy to help in any way that I can.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
So in your guys' opinion, Civic is, if we had the money to do a field or a area, Civic would be the first one that should get done, in your guys' opinion?
If you put a gun to my head right now, I would say Civic is in more dire need. Civic is where all of our T-ball fields, now T-ball's not in scope of this, but there's some residual light that would last and that would affect T-ball. We do put most of our instructional games and practices over there right now because, and I was going to talk about this in a second, I alluded to this a few months ago, our numbers for in-house are up. It's a very good problem to have, but scheduling becomes a little bit more particular, so we cannot put the instructional teams, as many as we'd like, over at Heartland. They'll need to be here at Civic. In the fall especially, we put a lot of fields over, or a lot of teams over here at Civic. We're having we're having tons of dirt here this week poured and graded over there on these fields. So we're investing in Civic. We're here in the long haul for Civic as well. So we want to use it. We want it to pop. We want it to look good. And we want to make sure that we're taking care of it. To answer your question in a million words or less, yeah, my opinion would be Civic. Just simply because, as Gabe has stated, that Babe Ruth is back in a functional manner. The lights are working. Now, what happens when those go out in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 months? Rolling the dice. But I think that that Civic is a little in more need. Just my opinion. You may have a different opinion.
You said that you had some, like prices for Civic. Do you know what those numbers are, like roughly?
No, I don't, and I don't want to say it and then come back and bite me, but it was, when he told me I had to do a double take over the phone, they were stiff. The price that he gave us for Babe Ruth obviously was exceptionally stiff. They're 6 figures each field.
Would you be adverse to doing a cheaper light, LED light, to save on cost?
Not at all. Not at all. Now, for the Babe Ruth grant, that does go through Musco. That is an exclusive agreement with Musco. If Musco could offer us a different lighting package, of course, they're going to want to offer us the Cadillac of everything they've got. But if they have other options, we should absolutely entertain that. Not saying we can't go with another vendor, but the $60,000 grant from Babe Ruth would be off the table because they have an agreement with Musco themselves.
So,
Excuse me.
one of my concerns was, when we first, started this talk, it was basically to help, we spoke about maybe helping with girls softball as well, so, I mean, that was, without knowing any better, that was me just being cheap, I guess, thinking, hey, for 170, 180, if we just did all the heads, that maybe we can get some of these fields done too.
Sure.
When we start targeting just the Civic field, even in those double digits, triple digits, like you just said,
Yeah.
you are taking away from that complex. So like some of the stuff that we had there was like batting cages, fixing some of the paths,
Yeah.
like a new T-ball field, and that can be shared from girls softball and boys softball. I'm sorry, and boys baseball as well. So now you're kind of allocating just from one side of that aspect
Well,
of
obviously-
our grouping of kids.
Obviously, I'm representing the baseball side
Yes,
of the
sir.
house.
Yes, sir.
But, I mean, again, that's a political question for you guys to decide and prioritize.
And then on top of that, we just recently had some storm damage, as I put it in the email.
Yes.
Due to the outcropping fencing. That has to be repaired. We're going to try to run that through our insurance and see what happens with that. So we have to be mindful of that we need money to allocate towards that. So that is going to take away from that initial big number that we put out there that we had to spend.
Right.
Where was the damage at?
There was like 8 or 9 sections that were done from like 2 storms. And then some of the posts actually heaved up and cracked. So it's being recommended that we just rip it all out and do a new fence.
I went out there Saturday, and it's beyond.
So apparently
we've been
when they-
putting Band-Aids on it for 20-some years.
Yeah.
And
When
that
they
was-
installed that fence 20 years ago, they poured concrete in each post. They don't do that anymore. So those posts are all cracking, and that's from the base on up.
And part of it is the vinyl fencing there. That, we've been dealing with kids kicking out the panels, baseballs going through it, kids throwing balls at it just to throw it at it.
Yeah.
And I know that was one thing we were looking at is possibly doing like we did at Public Work or at the salt barn here with the chain link, with the slits, kind of like Central has around their baseball fields. But this would be like the black look. I think we would never have to worry about the fence being kicked in and.
Right.
And it
Panels
looks
get-
nice.
And
For the residents, like because they're there on the other side of it,
Right.
like Gabe was talking about.
But that's, we're kind of talking a few things here, but it's still baseball.
But that comes out of the same,
That comes out of the same budget that we don't
the
even
same
have
kitty of money that we're
300,000
allocating
in
towards
that
those
budget
lights.
total.
Yeah, there's like several issues all wrapped in one.
Right.
You know?
I mean, the Babe Ruth, I think that's, unfortunately, that one's gonna be a no-go for now. I mean, that's just my opinion. Because that's, if we did that, we can't do anything. I mean, we're really gonna have enough to operate paying the bills at the end of the year.
Now, with that 60,000.
Yes.
Is that, I know you mentioned September, is it something that we could, if we couldn't do it this year, we could reapply again next year, or is this just it's September or done?
No, so when you use the word reapply, that's where it gets a little tricky. If I knew for a fact we were not going to do it this year, or we were not going to approve it this year, I wouldn't even put the application in. I would withhold that application for when I get the green light and some confidence from you guys that, yes, we're going to move forward in fiscal 27, whatever the 28, 26, whatever it's going to be. You guys tell me when the green light comes, and then I will apply at that time. I do not want to apply and then have to pull it back.
Right.
It's just going to be you tell me we're good, now we're off to the races, and I'll make the application.
Out of curiosity, is there another one for Cal Ripken too?
Cal Ripken is part of Babe Ruth.
Right, but I didn't know if there
No,
was
excuse
one
me,
for-
it's all for one. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Now, if the softball league ever wanted to affiliate with Babe Ruth League, they do have a softball component. There may be another 60,000 available. I've spoken with them about that. They have their own board and their own opinions, so don't know if that'll ever come to fruition, but I've nudged.
So there is a potential to do, for them to do it as well.
Potentially. When I spoke with Babe Ruth about that, I said, we have two separate organizations. We're friends, but we are two separate nonprofit corporations. Could we pool those applications together? And they said, well, you could maybe do a 60,000 for year one, and then they come over the top the next year and make the $60,000 application. And Musco has indicated they're willing to work with payment and budgets and things like that to make it work. But again, no guarantees.
Right.
But that could potentially be on the table, but that would require them to affiliate with Babe Ruth, and I don't know if they have the appetite for that.
Right.
They're running their own organization with their own priorities and goals and whatnot, so.
Interesting.
Well, Gabe, you're getting all the quotes then for all the different sets of lights for the civic lights, and they're just
So
not in
I have
yet?
not entertained going anything but Musco, but now that we're talking, there is other light companies out there. Do I recommend switching from Musco from the Heartland Complex? No, since it's already there. If you're gonna transition, you might as well have everything in tune. But for something like Civic, I think that we could go like a little cheaper route, maybe go a cheaper lighting system.
Yep.
And make it work. Again, I don't have those numbers in front of me. I haven't began to go down that way. Without seeing the numbers from Musco, without seeing the numbers from, like their competitors, I wouldn't want to give any kind of informed decision on where to spend this money or how to spend money, because you don't know what you don't know yet. So, again, this fence came up, no one knew we were gonna have these bad weather back to back to back to back. And it's not just there, like we're having problems with our streetlights and other problems. And, so it's hitting us across the board. Would you guys be willing to maybe do some kind of benefits? So like you guys were talking about doing some tournaments maybe next year or something like that?
We're doing 2 tournaments this year.
Maybe helping raise money for that? I'm just trying to I want to see it done. I think it'll look great. But any way that we can get there together as a team, it would
Sure.
be the like best way there.
Sure. We obviously have done a lot of fundraising this year already to, to grow the league and to make sure that we're in a position to maintain the fields. I was going to say it during the public comment. We've got $90,000 invested in the fields right now. So we've made a significant contribution to town property in maintaining it and making sure that it is some of the finest playing surfaces in Northwest Indiana. So, yeah, we are on board for a partnership. I think that we have fully committed ourselves financially to seeing this succeed and making sure that the fields that the town owns are the best in the area. So, yeah, we're fully on board with that. We've had other fundraising that we've done with other local businesses. So, yeah, we are all in fundraising mode. We are more than happy to continue that partnership But yeah, we've made a significant investment thus far, and we look forward to continuing that.
I mean, we're at now, I mean, I don't know where we're going, but I think we still need some more estimates. Like, figure out what they're gonna be over here.
We have to wait too for the fence to come in, because that has to
That
be
was-
fixed. There is no option.
The fence, I think, is gonna be a priority, like, that's something we're gonna need to,
So once we get those
moving on.
numbers in from that, that will really give us a clear detail on what you had going into that complex and what's no longer there, like available to it.
then we know where we're at. We're around 250 before any kind of grant, so we know that's where we're at in Babe Ruth. So we can keep looking at that.
So you said like, that grant was for $60,000?
Correct.
So you're at 180, 190
Now,
after grant?
yeah, so the number that came does include installation. The number that came from Musco that you and I saw that Brent sent over for Babe Ruth, that does include installation. Now, it is a big gap, but that does include installation. There may be some, the way Brent explained it to me was the cost of installation is it's a rough estimate, because they're going to outsource that to MCOR, Hire, Austin, whoever is their preferred partner, and it's up to them to set that price. So that's why he gave us such a big gap. So if we have any negotiating power to talk with those individuals about their pricing for installation, there may be some fluctuation there. But when I saw that quote, I would have preferred a little bit more detail instead of just this big gulf of between this number and this number. So it's, here's how much we estimate for materials, for installation, for labor, for all of this, because then we can have some wiggle room and we can make a better plan.
I agree with you on that, actually.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, the quote was very vague. It was just very, yeah, it could have been better, and I think we can work with him to get a little bit more specificity, especially if he knows that this is now in jeopardy.
And especially if you can find out who their preferred vendor is for this installation. That does make a difference, because you definitely don't want to leave it open-ended with anyone that's doing labor costs.
Of course.
Of any kind.
And whoever their vendor is, of course, is going to be looking at their margins, but
Correct.
right now, it's very much a black box.
So, pause for now?
Well, I think we have to.
Well, we
until
have to.
get- until we
Right,
get
but
all
pause
the-
for now, but it's not, nothing's closed.
Right, right.
Till we get
Well, I mean, like I said,
more things.
let's try to figure this estimate out a little bit more, get a little more detailed, like you said, see where that's at, see where that 60 is gonna put us. I think if we're still at 180, that's still too much for that field. Or is that something we just do that field, and next year we worried about, the civic field, something like that, or now we're totally,
That's up to the board. That's.
And I think it just depends on what those different estimates come in, because you mentioned Civic, if you go with you don't have to go with Musco, you could go with
Yeah,
maybe
I
something a
do-
little bit cheaper.
I do agree with your sentiment there. With Civic, it's no surprise, no, we're not fooling anybody. Civic is older. It's not nearly at the same level of impressiveness, of perfection as the Heartland facility. So I don't want to say we're going to go with cut-rate lights, but if there is a more economical option, we do not need the Cadillac of lights over at Civic. I would not advocate for that. I think that would be a waste. If we were going to get the lights that are all, of course, he wants to present to us the top package. You can hit a button and the lights go off, and, home run, no kid's hitting a home run at age 7, but if they did, the lights would go bonkers like an MLB stadium. We don't need that at Civic. Something that is more economical is very much within reason.
Do we at least have it closed up now, so anybody can?
It is. It is. We made corrections in the last several years for that. We've done, we've done some improvements there.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we do, when we leave the fields, we make sure those lights are off. There have been a couple ghosts in years past that magically have turned them back on. And then those ghosts wander over to the basketball court because they'd like a little
yeah.
bit more light. And then we go over and make sure those keys are pulled and locked up. But yes, we ensure that those
I
are
think we
down.
can fairly say, can you get us an estimate?
Yeah.
Or I don't know if you
I'll
go-
start
I don't know if
reaching
you have one
out.
cup For Civic,
To a couple different vendors. I mean, that's how it's going to have to
see
be.
where we're at with that. Maybe we can break down Babe Ruth a little bit more, because that is kind of like, 220 to 250. Figure out where at maybe the vendor, see if we can, where we're at with the grant, kind of get us our numbers there, see where we're at.
I know that when you get in that price point, so like the good thing about Musco is you don't have to get those second estimates because they're locked in. at that government rate. Now, once you start getting into those other things, I will have to contact at least 3 to 4,
Like the installation, you mean?
like outfits for like each quote has to be different.
Oh, I see what you're saying, right.
Unless they're matched into that kind of like pricing as well, which I don't think there's like that many out there that do that.
All right, well, I guess, yeah, just kind of wait and see, maybe come back to us next month if you're able to
Yes,
get any of
sir.
that
Yeah,
stuff. and we can go-
definitely, like I said, the Civic, get an estimate out there, a couple estimates. So I guess we're locked in at Babe Ruth pretty much. And then, the fence. Get an estimate on the fence to replace it. Is that it?
To be honest, I did not realize lights were that cost.
Yeah,
I did not realize that.
Well, I know at the high school, it's been 10 or 11 years before they could afford those.
Yeah,
yeah,
It's-
we're
been a
putting
long-
them in at Hanover now too, and I saw the sticker shock on that.
Yeah.
'cause we're like, oh.
Musco is, they're a fine company, they have a great product, and they know it,
yeah,
and it's priced accordingly. They have great service.
Well, the warranty, I mean, that's.
The warranty is
that alone
fantastic.
yeah.
The OpEx will
Impressive.
go through the floor. There will be very little operating cost besides the NIPSCO bill, which will significantly go down, but the CapEx will be significant.
You guys have anything else on that?
I don't.
All right, you have anything else?
I can save it for public comment if you'd like.
You can go ahead.
Okay. I just had a few things. So I talked about the maintenance that we're doing. We touched the lights, obviously. I did have one question about process. So when I was here a couple months ago, we talked about the fence over at Civic, the gates over there. This board provided a unanimous favorable recommendation for that. I'm curious, so when a recommendation like that is made, when you guys resolve that we support such and such, what's the next step and where does that typically go? Just so I understand. This is a civics lesson for me. I apologize for asking something that's very
Well, part of-
rudimentary.
Part of that, I can answer a little bit, and I don't know 100% the answer, but we used to have our own legal before where we could just direct that kind of question to them.
Okay.
And then they would say it has to go through whatever process.
Okay.
Like I said, we send it to the town council. So basically, we're just in the waiting mode until they make a decision. What they do that's on that side of it is up to them. Then they would have to either relay it to us, be like, yeah, go ahead and do it, or we've made a motion, or, whatever they've done, it would have to come from them down to us.
Okay.
In the meantime, I would say you'd follow up with the town manager, just to say, hey, do we have a status on that? He could be like, yeah, we've talked about it, or it's on the minutes or the agenda for this month.
Who ultimately decides? Is it the council body that decides, yes, we will accept this, or no, we won't?
Right now, we forwarded to them with a favorable recommendation. So we're recommending that they let you guys close it. It's up to them. They might do an open thing, let the town, get their opinions, and then be like, yeah, we're not going to do it.
Okay.
It's up to the town council. They're the ultimate.
So the last I heard, there was an email that Gabe sent to me that he spoke with the town council president, and he said, you guys can lock it, but you're going to do it at your own expense. And they said the town will install it. Now, we're fabricating those right now. We're going to go ahead and get those made. We're happy to do that, and we're going to install them. They're currently being manufactured. My question was just process. I want to make sure that I'm not wasting your guys' time and that I'm also speaking to the right folks. So if I need to go straight to Mike Bouvat moving forward, I'm happy to. I'm happy to start here. You guys tell me for these kinds of requests, where do I start and then who do I follow up with? I just want to make sure I'm following the process as you guys prescribe. So,
With the baseball and all those types of things that goes through the park department, it always comes to us first, correct?
Right.
And then we have to pass it along to the town council. We make our recommendation, yes, no, maybe so, then they make the ultimate decision, and then it comes back around, and if they approve things,
Sure.
then it gets done. And if not, then
okay.
they,
But the council body is the council is the body that makes the ultimate decision.
On this one. And like I said, we don't have legal necessary that we can ask that question.
Okay.
Because they would give us the perfect answer. It might take about 12 minutes to get the answer.
Understand.
But they would have it exactly how that works. I don't know, to be honest with you. Like,
Okay.
That's where I would rely to ask somebody else. So that's something maybe we go to the town legal and say, how do we go about doing this?
Okay.
We don't have an answer for it.
Okay. I just want to make sure, like I said, that I'm following the correct steps. And I'm
But
not,
if you got permission from the town council with that particular situation, just put them on.
Yeah, so at Miller, the locks are on at Miller right now, and then at Rookie, they're coming as soon as those gates are fabricated, so.
And then, like, if they gave us that approval, bring it back down to our level, we make a motion on it, we vote on it to where it's official, it's, because like what happened with the last contract, it wasn't actually signed by the board, this and that, that's something then we can make sure that we sign off on it, it is now technically in our,
Okay, so is
Meeting
there
minutes.
any action that needs to be taken tonight on that matter?
I have not been told, no, I don't have anything, because I haven't been told that it was,
So I spoke with our town manager and Mike Bovet at the same time. We had a discussion, and basically something like that, there doesn't need to be like a board meeting on it. It's, as long as one councilman, which is the head councilman, says, all right, let's do it, because I mean, it's something that's so minimal. You guys are already taking care of the fields anyways on the inside, so that's just like one small step further. And then I believe he said that this year would be a trial, we'll see how it goes. If it works out, then we'll continue it. If not, then we'll have to rethink it next year.
One question for you. When he says we'll see how it goes, what is his criteria for success?
I think he's thinking about kickback from the public, honestly.
Okay.
Just, you know, if little Johnny and his dad can't play and he wants to throw 100 pitches a day, I'm not sure. But again, I think that our talks let us down to where, unfortunately, it's not like it was back in the day where the dad's really out there. If you're out there, you're probably a coach anyways, and you probably already have the gate code. And like you said, if you're bringing your whole team out there, you're probably from out of town if you don't have the code.
Right.
So once we went down that conversation, it was like, okay, that kind of makes sense.
Okay, understood, okay.
My personal opinion, just going through it for as long as we have, I don't see it being a big deal.
Okay,
so they said we could. allow
Yes.
them? So do we want to make a motion on that as?
It's
as
already done.
Yeah,
Right.
sorry.
So we're done? Move on, okay. So there's your answer.
thank you. Good deal. The only other thing I had was another question, clarification. When other groups outside of St. John Youth Baseball want to use Heartland or Civic, what is the process for them booking those and the notification process? Is there any notification process due to us, just so we know who's on those fields? Because we have to maintain them, we've got to secure them. Is there a particular process that's prescribed right now so we know who's on those fields at any time that is not operating under the auspices of St. John Youth Baseball?
So I believe, Sam,
Yeah, so as far as requests go, they can go on our rec desk website, which is how they request to reserve pavilions, the brand new community center, or fields. We will go through and hold those approvals until we check with your schedule. And currently, the Indiana Bulls, they do Wednesdays, I believe mainly. So if it's an open, then we'll check through with your schedule and the Bull schedule and see how it goes, and then we approve it.
When the Bulls or whoever it is schedule on Wednesdays, is there any notification so we know?
We can start.
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
Anytime those are booked, just so we know.
Yeah.
If we drive by, we're like, who the hell's that? You know, just so we know,
Yeah.
oh, those are the Bulls. We get it.
Absolutely.
It's just because we're charged with maintaining them, obviously.
Yep.
Putting all the investment in there and then securing them as well.
Yep.
I got a phone call tonight from one of our VPs. He had to chase kids off Heartland. We talked about kids jumping the fence at Civic. A couple older kids really got strong and they jumped the fence at Heartland and they were out there playing. We had to chase them off. So we just want to make sure we know.
Yeah.
Hey, should you be here? Should you not?
Yeah.
Just so we don't overreact or
Yeah.
we act accordingly.
And we could, to make it simple on you guys, we can just send you the field permits because we do give those out. So for the month, I'll give you all the field permits for the month, and then that way it has the date and all that.
Okay, so you guys issue field permits
Yep.
to the additional parties?
Correct.
Wonderful. Okay, that would be tremendous.
I have another question. Because they're maintaining all this and the fields can be rented out, like to the Bulls, so what if by chance the Bulls come in there and wreck stuff? Are they gonna be penalized monetarily to fix what they've ruined, or they just take off and it's see ya type thing?
I'd have to check again on the regulations and rules on the paperwork that we
Yeah.
get, but I just have to check again and get back to you on that.
And Gabe, I thought I could be completely just making this up in my own mind, but I thought we talked about when we originally did this that there would just be like a Google spreadsheet type thing where they'll be able to you could just go on your phone and check and see.
That was
hey,
last year. Jill did send me that in the clerk treasurer's office. She did send me that last year.
Okay.
But I don't believe the Google Sheet is being used anymore because of RecDesk
RecDesk.
and this new platform, I believe.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
And I don't have insight into that. I can go in as a user to book it. Not that we would, but I don't have the behind-the-scenes look. I can't see the schedule as it's
Yeah, I don't
booked.
know if that would be something easier for them, because they're maintaining the fields. It maybe give him, viewing privileges or something, so he can see
That'd be
Yeah,
wonderful.
on
we
his
can, we
phone,
can
so
also
he-
do that too, if
That'd
that's
be
what you
wonderful.
want. Yeah.
who's on there.
To Ms. Kriesbaum's point as well, I'm also very interested in the remedy for when a team goes out there and they tear the fields up, because we're on the hook for fixing that. That's contractually obligated in our lease that we are the ones that have to go out there and pick up after them. We have to fix it. We have to put the man-hours into it.
Do we still have all the video feeds
Yes.
on all the fields?
We're actually in the process of fixing that right now.
So they have their own fee, but they won't give us access to it.
Well, but I'm just saying that would be an easy way to tell if somebody goes out there and wrecks a field.
Well, and when I say
Field 1, 2,
wrecks,
3,
I don't,
4.
they're not going to go out there and demolish it, but they're going to play
Right.
hard. I mean, travel teams, those guys are going to beat the snot out of those fields, playing hard, digging, doing their thing. It's just wear and tear. But you get 12, 13, 14-year-old young men, much different than 7-year-olds in rubber
Sliding up
cleats
the-
versus
yeah.
the 14-year-olds that are trying to get a college scholarship. They're going to play hard on those fields. So, yeah, so I'd be very interested to get some feedback on that, just because obviously we are maintaining that. We're not tearing those fields up at that moment, but we're on the hook for paying for that. Yeah, I would love to continue to get a little bit of clarity on that.
Yeah, there's got to be something. I mean, not this second, but there's got to be
Right,
something we
and,
can
and
do.
exactly what he was saying, it's not they're going out there and
Right.
start cutting the fence apart and stuff, it's just
No, it's just
using, running
Right.
from the
All of a
bases,
sudden, you got a
sliding
trench
in.
in the
If we-
right-handed
yeah,
batter's box.
that's what I'm getting at.
Exactly. Exactly. You see the right-handed batter's box sink deep. We wish we had a few more lefties. Yeah, well, and I can tell you, if we obviously went out there and we saw anybody vandalizing the fields, that's when we call Mike and his friends across the street to come out and pay a visit. So, but yeah, any clarity on that would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yep.
So, that's all I had. Thank you guys very, very much. I appreciate
you.
you.
Any other new business? Reports and correspondence. Any board members? Anybody have anything? Eric?
Nope.
No, sir.
Stephanie?
Nope.
Town staff?
Yeah, I just want to say a couple thank yous. I just want to say thank you to all of our sponsors and donators for our Easter egg hunt event. You can find out the whole full and updated list on our Facebook page. Also want to give a thanks to B&D for donating dirt for our Patno Community Garden. That opens up the 17th of this month. And then lastly, registration is now open for our summer camps as well as youth and adult volleyball. You can sign up on our RecDesk page. That's it.
All right, thank you, Sam. Any other town staff? Town manager? Payment of the bills. Like to entertain a motion for the accounts payable voucher dated April 15th, 2025, representing payment for payroll, supplies, services, and equipment rendered to the Park and Recreation Board for the town of St. John in the combined total of $21,689.78.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor by Stephanie Kriesbaum. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Eric Valiska. All in favor of paying the bills signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with an A. And it's carried. Do we have a public comment? You guys have any public? Go and step to the podium. Name and address, please.
Yep. Hi, my name is Brittany Brady. Do you need my full address?
Just your address, and if you're in town, just,
Yeah, I'm a St. John resident.
all right.
So I'm here today to talk about the park in my neighborhood. I actually called the town in January. It was like a warmer day in January. We went out to the park. It is really, really run down and extremely, it is dangerous. The park is dangerous. There's no question. I thought I had sent the photos in an email, and whoever I spoke with told me to send them in an email. I thought I did, and I was just trying to find it. I can't find it, but I have the photos if you guys want to see.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Which park is it?
Oh, I'm sorry, Lantern View Park.
Okay.
And whoever we spoke with back in January said they were going to send somebody to drive by and look at it. Now we've been back to the park that it's starting to warm up, and again, it is dangerous, outdated, extremely not safe. And there's a good amount of kids in our neighborhood, and it is in dire need of an update. So when we were there in January, and even still currently, the plastic around the mulch is just bowing out. There's giant holes in the mulch. It is unsafe to walk on. The slides have big holes and chunks missing out of them. There's like a rubber bridge that is, I mean, not safe to walk on for sure. Just all around, really disappointing to see.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is all.
Do you recall who you spoke
Yeah,
to?
No, we were just trying to remember, as well as the email. I cannot find the email, but again, I have the photos
You
back from
probably
January.
spoke to me.
Okay, maybe.
So we are slated to go out there and repair those plastic borders, and we will be getting new mulch this year.
Okay.
And that's for all the parks. That's on our every 2-year cycle. As far as the playground, like replacement.
I
that
would
is not on
say
list
the
right now.
bridge needs to be replaced, if that's something you can look into. It is,
Into it?
feels very unsafe. And then there's one big slide that has a chunk missing at the top and a chunk
Is that
missing-
recently?
That was last week. We were over there.
Because I was out there like 2 weeks ago with the insurance guy, and I didn't see that.
It was,
I mean, we actually, so we actually walked all the parks with with our insurance rep, and
Mm-hmm.
I honestly did not see that, and neither did he.
yeah, it's the big.
But
the
I
big
believe you,
swirl.
yeah. We will go out there, and then we will look at it, and then get that repaired, for
Perfect.
sure.
Happy to hear it.
But as far as the mulch, that is coming this summer.
Okay.
With those black borders, again, in January, it's kind of hard to move those around with that frost level and all that, so
Totally.
you can't do much with it.
Yeah, it was very bizarre that we were there in January anyways, just happened to be
Mm-hmm.
a warmer day. But the fact that it still feels that unsafe in April makes me nervous for the summer with all the kids, so.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you think that's something that maybe look at, maybe it should get blocked off right now if it is that, like especially.
It's
that
not
slide?
quite as, in January, it was very bad, which, again, who's at the park in January? I don't know why we were. But it's still, there's always kids there. It's kind of hidden. It's not a very noticeable park, but there are a lot of kids in subdivision. There's typically kids there. So, I don't know.
Thank you.
All right?
Yeah, could you run by and check that out?
I will, yeah.
I'm just,
I will.
and if you see something, obviously not, if, like he said, if you see something that's not safe, just, we gotta,
Okay.
Block it off. and
Block it
somebody
off.
get hurt or-
but like you said, I don't think it's that bad, but we'll keep, definitely
Now,
get something out there.
is there a hole all the way through the slide, you're saying, like all the way through? the
No,
hole?
just a big chunk missing out of it. Out of the
Okay.
top, like right where you would sit down to go,
Okay.
and then towards the bottom too, like where you would stand up to leave.
Okay.
Yep,
All right,
thank you.
Any other public comment? Is that it? All right. Entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Stephanie Kriesbaum. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Mary Roberts. All in favor of adjournment, signify with an aye.
Aye.
Opposed with an A. We're adjourned.